yourself, Dan Saiyan.
That 1 week hiatus to get back into Dragon Ball Daima was way too long because I was waiting all week after we got this to see what came next, and then we found out what was next, and what was next was extremely unexpected with a lot of new lore, huge reveals, and a connection to Dragon Ball GT that I don't think anybody else has really gotten. Now, it is easy to look at the newest episode of Dragon Ball Daima if you have not seen it and look at it as just a filler episode, but rest assured, they worked their asses off to make sure that this episode was entertaining, filled with lore, and giving us something brand new that we have only seen once before. But this is probably the best iteration of this trope, of this theme that we've ever seen in Dragon Ball at all. My name is Blackscape. I run a Dragon Ball YouTube channel. If you guys love Dragon Ball as much as I do, hit that like button and subscribe. That way you never miss a video. Let's go ahead and jump in. In the newest episode of Dragon Ball Daima, we get the crew accidentally dropping on an unknown demon world, only to find out that this is the second most dangerous demon world out there in all the demon worlds. And the reason that this world is so dangerous is because the inhabitants are called the Magath, and everything in this world is huge, monstrously huge. Now, this is a trope that we've seen throughout all literature. This is something that we've seen in a lot of different other shows and animes, but have we ever seen this in Dragon Ball? Well, the answer to this is absolutely. There are a ton of connections between the latest episode of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball GT. Honestly, this is straight up just the Dragon Ball Daima version of episode 6 of Dragon Ball GT, when Pan, Goku, and Trunks land on a planet with giants. Now, the giants that we see in that episode are not as big as the ones we see in Dragon Ball Daima, but it is cool to see, like, even this artwork right here, created by Akira Toriyama himself. This artwork depicts, I mean, how much work he went into when creating this giant race, these giant people that are honestly way uglier than the ones we saw in Dragon Ball Daima. This is an episode that immediately caught my eye because it reminded me of that Dragon Ball GT episode, one of the few that I saw when it first was coming out and not watching it years later. This is a interesting episode, but there are some similarities with a lot of the things that go on. Like, this is them landing on a giant world. This is the giants hitting their ship with a stick, and basically it just kind of goes on like that. But the one biggest change that comes from the Dragon Ball GT episode to this is the level of strength difference from the Magath people, because originally what we see in the Dragon Ball Daima episode is them getting attacked by giant hamsters. Now, they can take out the giant hamsters one by one, but then there's a lot of them and it becomes a little bit more tricky. After that, you get this alien demon dog thing that actually puts up a really good fight, even comes back after Vegeta punches it. So this is a huge feat, because Vegeta at the end of Dragon Ball Z's Buu Saga and Daima, I mean, his base, he's extremely powerful, way stronger than even a Super Saiyan in his base, and yet this dog was able to survive one single punch, power scaling these Magath people as being not just huge, but extremely powerful. But it also lends a lot of support for the fact that the size of the creature matters when it comes to Dragon Ball characters, where in the past we may have seen someone like Piccolo get really big, but his strength doesn't change, and maybe that set the standard for the fact that if you get really big or you have a really big creature, they're not entirely that strong. Specifically, any little character that is stronger can take them down, but that's just really Piccolo, who is small and then gets big. He just gets big, he doesn't get much stronger. But other creatures that are huge normally are far stronger than the smaller ones. Uzaro, Haradragon, and Cell Max, to name a few. These creatures are extremely powerful, and it kind of begs a question: what is the level cap to the size of a creature? Because in this episode alone, we not only find out that these guys are huge and strong, durable, to the point where, I mean, even the Magath child, it's a child, not even an adult, is able to handle any sort of attack or any sort of blocking from a Super Saiyan Goku, which on its own power scales them to above Super Saiyan, meaning that possibly they could be Super Saiyan 2 level in just brute force, not in power or anything like that, just brute force. But if they are this strong, how strong are the parents? How strong is an adult male Magath? Is he Super Saiyan 3 level? Could he handle that? Like, that asks a lot of questions, honestly. This whole episode brings up a lot of interesting questions because at the same time, we also get the fact that this is the second most dangerous planet in the cosmos when it comes to the demon world. What is the first most dangerous planet? A planet that is home to the Giga people that are way bigger than the Magath people, which is insane. That means that there are beings where their size is relative to their strength, and the bigger they are, the stronger they are. And we already have the fact that a dog can defeat a Super Saiyan or take a punch from a Super Saiyan. A Magath child can handle a full Super Saiyan. I mean, how powerful are these things? How powerful are these demons? Even Goku says, why don't they decide to be the Demon King? And the only explanation is that they don't care to. They're peaceful. They don't really want to. They don't get involved with that kind of stuff. And I can see it because everything else would be tiny compared to them. So that makes a lot of sense. But again, it just brings really interesting questions on the size of creatures, how big they can get, and what if there was a huge creature that was really big, but the strength of a Super Saiyan god or something, you know? That would be insane. Now, in the original Dragon Ball GT episode, that's not the case. These creatures aren't strong relative to their size, at least not stronger than our main characters, even though they find themselves in a lot of shenanigans while they are on the planet. But honestly, I love the way that this episode played out. I like the fact that the number one thing that Demon King really had to combat Goku and the rest of them was to turn off the warping from between the universes, which is the demon world, the second demon world, and the first demon world. He turned that fish off. So it's going to be an interesting storyline in the future to see how they're going to turn this fish back on. But ultimately, this is a great episode. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm really glad that we got a lot of Dragon Ball GT love and representation directly in Dragon Ball Daima. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comments.
Subscribe for more content. Or perish.